Roman Reigns smashed him, stacked him, pinned him, and left WrestleMania 37 as your Universal Champion. What was the fallout? It's time to rewind the Bloodline. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to acknowledge us. Go back and check out the WrestleMania 37 episodes. They are available on the channel, and that is something that we will only be doing for the WrestleManias where we review the entire show. But we are officially back today to focus on the Bloodline. But before we jump into the show, I just need to take a moment and acknowledge my co-host, Teddy Mongoose. There was a family emergency, and he's going to be away for a little bit. And from all of us here and all of our listeners, we are just sending love and support and all the prayers to the Mongoose family right now. I'll be holding it down here solo until he's back, but trust me, this is a two-man operation. So in spirit of Teddy, we're going to kick off this show with a dirt sheet beach because we do have some news coming out of WrestleMania. So night one received 72.3% thumbs up. And night two only received 46.5% thumbs up by Wrestling Observer readers. How do you guys feel about that? I actually think I'm going to align with the Observer readers because I felt that night one was a stronger card, but I felt like night two had the bigger attraction with the triple threat main event. So let us know in the comments what you thought of the night one versus night two. Which one did you like more? Let us know. But one of the biggest stories of the weekend came from the Broken Skull Sessions episode with Chris Jericho. And this is important because Chris Jericho, at the time, is an active member of the AEW roster, the biggest rival promotion that WWE has had in years. And this was quite a big deal for the time. I remember watching it. I remember it being such a huge deal, and I encourage all of you to go back and check that out. It's on Peacock. All you got to do is just search for Broken Skull Sessions, and it'll pop right up for you. But man, what a wild time it was in 2021 when that happened. Our last little bit of news here, and it's been looming because, you know, we're in that season of WrestleMania. WWE did their yearly round of cuts, and most notably of them was Samoa Joe, which was really odd because Samoa Joe, we literally talked about Samoa Joe. He is on the thumbnail for WrestleMania Night 1. Poncho Joe was an iconic moment of WrestleMania 37, especially in the rain delay, and he was cut, let go literally days after WrestleMania. Others that were cut were Mickie James, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, Bo Dallas, Chelsea Green, which Chelsea Green eventually made her way back, so did Bo Dallas, and Wesley Blake, Tucker Kalisto, and Mojo Rawley. And I know that Mojo getting cut would have put a smile on Mongoose's face, but there are rumors of further cuts coming to NXT, which we'll be keeping tabs on in the upcoming weeks. So it is time to dive back into our SmackDown reviews, and we are going to be kicking off with the April 16th, 2021 SmackDown. It is coming to you live from a brand new ThunderDome. And again, if you are new here, go to this link right up here above my head, and you can relive the triple threat tag match from WrestleMania 37. And that is what gets us kicked off. We get the highlight package of the triple threat match. Michael Cole brings us into the Thunderdome, and he starts by introducing his new commentary partner, Pat McAfee.
Please welcome Pat McAfee.
So Pat is officially on the commentary team here. And personally for me, I like Pat. I know that for some, he can be a little too much, but I can get down with him, and he is introduced as our tribal chief is making his way to the ring with Paul and Jay by his side. This is where we get our first look at the updated Thunderdome setup. Teddy mentioned this in a recent Dirt Sheet Beach. The WWE had to relocate because the Tampa Bay Rays were getting ready to start their season. They needed their stadium back. So we are now broadcasting from the University of South Florida. The new setup features a slimmer, sleeker stage design with even more screens. And honestly, I think it's a really big upgrade here. The WWE did a great job of debuting it. They did a great job because you're debuting this set with your biggest star. He's out first. And I thought that this gave a brand new, fresh feel to the Thunderdome because, you know, Teddy and I have been mentioning this leading up to WrestleMania. We are tired of seeing the Thunderdome. So seeing a Thunderdome refresh here was really refreshing. But Paul hands the mic to Roman and the "you suck" chants are just pouring down over them. Roman talks about how he called his shot, and Mongoose, I feel like I've mentioned you 100 times here already on the show. We miss you. Mongoose talked about it last week at the end of the show that Roman's go home promo on the April 9th SmackDown is going to go down as one of the most important promos of not only the story of the Bloodline, but for WrestleManias as a whole, because he called his shot. He talked about how both Edge and Daniel Bryan were dreamers, and he just doesn't have time for the dreamers.
I called my shot. I'm going to smash them. I'm going to stack them. I'm going to pin them 1, 2, 3.
And Roman continues by calling out the locker room, saying that
nobody wants to face me.
Nobody wants to ruin their reputation by facing me. And Cesaro's music hits. He comes out, and this was the last person I was expecting to see. Cesaro, if you remember, he is fresh off of his first singles victory at a WrestleMania, and he did that against Seth Rollins on night 1. And we covered that 2 weeks ago on the channel. So if you want more information about that match, you can go back and check that out now on the channel. But what I really liked about this segment is that Roman blows Cesaro off completely and he walks to the back. Doesn't say a word. We get a quick stare down. Roman rolls out of the ring. He's laughing as he's going up the ramp. And it's really putting Cesaro beneath him. And there's some psychological warfare in that because Roman continues to display this. He's telling everyone in the locker room that you don't even get my attention unless you earn it. But also, none of you have a chance of beating me for the Universal Championship. But let me know in the comments if you think that this Roman being a smart heel, or is this like the type of disrespect that's going to come back and bite Roman in the end? Roman doing this instantly sets the tone, and I feel that this absolutely plays a big factor into this feud. They wouldn't have shot it if it didn't mean something down the line. And we continue to break, and we come back from the commercial, and Cesaro wants to talk to GMs Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. He asks if they just saw what happened, and he calls Roman
that son of a bitch.
He wants a match with Roman tonight, and let's be real, like that was never going to happen. So we fast forward to later in the show, and it is announced that the wise man Paul Heyman is going to give us clarity on the situation with Roman versus Cesaro later tonight. And Paul's face here was so great because Kayla is talking to him backstage, and Paul just looks so appalled by whatever Kayla is saying to him. And I just thought that this was crazy. But this is what I thought was crazy. They put up the graphic of Roman versus Cesaro for the main event tonight. And again, I still didn't believe it was going to happen. WWE knew what they were doing, though. I just instantly got the feeling that this was going to be a bait and switch, and I knew what they were doing. They weren't going to fool me. So Kayla asked Paul if Roman Reigns will accept the challenge. Paul Heyman enters full roast mode here, and he is on fire.
It's what we do around here in WWE. We put smiles on the faces of Neanderthals.
He goes back to Saturday night.
There was a rain delay at WrestleMania. Oh, rain delay, my kosher tuffus.
It was tears from angels knowing the beating that Roman was going to give Daniel Bryan and Edge. Paul says that when they got back to the locker room, there were puddles of tears.
It wasn't the tears from up above, Kayla.
It was from the superstars in the locker room like Seth Rollins that had to lower themselves to face Cesaro. Paul talks about Cesaro like he is a caveman who stumbled into the main event scene. And the line that got me, though, was
$1 billion body with a 10-cent brain.
Paul was in full savage mode here, but it was also classic Heyman. He dresses down the challenger, he hypes up Roman Reigns, and he plants seeds of doubt for the audience. And Paul continues on that dressing down of Cesaro. He says that he's a capable opponent,
but he's not an attraction. He's a joke.
The Bloodline is going to give Cesaro what he wants. The main event against main event Jey Uso. And we all kind of saw that one coming a mile away, but everyone has to go through the right-hand man to get to the man, Roman Reigns. So we continue through the show, and they are just peppering our tailgate with highlights of Cesaro's WrestleMania match. And you know, I did like it at first because they're really trying to make you believe that Cesaro does have a chance. He's a viable opponent for Roman Reigns. And this is kind of the push that, you know, we were all kind of hoping for back in this time. But they start laying it on thick. After about the third or fourth time, they start saying,
So perhaps the single most impressive footage in WrestleMania history.
and like, come on. Like, we've seen so many WrestleMania moments over the years, whether it's Austin and Vince shaking hands, Eddie beating Kurt, Shawn and Taker. Like, if you have to constantly tell us it was a moment, it wasn't a real moment. So just that's the real problem that I had with this, is that they just couldn't leave it alone one time. They had to do it 5, 6, 7 times, and that's just too many times. So we fast forward deep into this SmackDown, and Cesaro is backstage with Kayla. She asks what his response is to Paul's jabs at him earlier in the show, and he agrees that,
I think Paul Heyman is right.
But he is wrong about one thing. He belongs in the ring with Roman Reigns, and he's going to prove it tonight by beating Jey. And we are instantly shown Roman backstage with the wise man over his shoulder, and now Jey is pacing in the room behind him. We again get shown the Cesaro highlights, and the camera cuts to Roman and the wise man. Jey kneels down beside Roman, and he says that the spin is a real cute move.
Can you do that with no teeth? Huh?
He disrespected the head of the table, and he crossed the right-hand man, and now
I'm gonna show you why they call me main event Jey Uso.
And our main event is next. Jey comes out first, and he poses with the Andre the Giant Battle Royal Memorial Trophy, reminding us that he did win that on the Go Home episode of SmackDown that we previously covered. Cesaro comes out, and they mention that Cesaro won the same exact trophy. So I do like that we're actually not forgetting about accomplishments. We're still building Cesaro up here. And at this point in the show, there's about 9 minutes left. So the main event kicks off with Jey getting absolutely manhandled like we've seen so many times before. But we get a glimpse of the new Jey that we were seeing leading up to WrestleMania, the cerebral, body part targeting right-hand man as he grinds down Cesaro piece by piece. But it's not enough, as Cesaro is still able to get Jey up in a big suplex. Cesaro climbs to the top, he hits a big crossbody for 2, and Jey reverses into a headlock, and then he sends Cesaro shoulder first into the mat. Jey climbs up for an Uso splash, but he is hit with a very impressive drop kick. Cesaro now climbs back up with Jey, and he's trying to hit a superplex, but Jey knocks him down. Cesaro counters with a huge uppercut. He hops back up to the second rope. He grabs Jey in a gut-wrench suplex, and he nails it from the top rope. Jey went to slam Cesaro's shoulder into the mat again, but he was countered with a cartwheel, springboard corkscrew uppercut for 2. This was a really cool sequence. I loved it. Cesaro was setting up for the big swing, but Jey was able to get out. Jey hits a neck breaker for 2 and is visibly frustrated, and he starts hammering Cesaro with punches. Cesaro fires up with his own punches and lays in a massive clothesline. Cesaro gets Jey into the swing, and he's swinging. He gets to the 5th revolution.
Oh my goodness,
And Seth Rollins comes in from out of nowhere, and he pummels Cesaro. Seth heads up the ramp. He turns around and says that this isn't over between them. And honestly, I wasn't expecting this at all. I was expecting Roman to come out and, Cesaro was going to get his comeuppance for, disrespecting the head of the table. But instead, we get a carryover from WrestleMania. I didn't expect Seth to come out here. I was fully expecting Roman. So the match is officially called for interference as we fade to black on Seth's face. So let me know in the comments what you thought about this main event. Were you expecting Roman Reigns to come out? Because that's what I was expecting. It felt like we got a little bit of a bait and switch 2 times in a row here on one show. We got it with the graphic with Roman and Cesaro earlier. You figured that Roman was going to be coming out to take care of Cesaro whenever Jey was in peril, but instead we got Seth Rollins. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. That is part 27 of the Bloodline Rewind. We will be back next week with the April 23rd and April 30th 2021 SmackDowns, and we are now officially on the road to Backlash. And if you are new here and you made it this far into this episode, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and let us know in the comments what you thought about this episode. And with that, I'm Johnny Bake Show, and we just called it in the ring.